cool. Does anyone?
I like that I don't have to think of anything. It's cool.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 98 of Cali Brick Clique. And remember, you can find this episode on our previous episodes anywhere you can find your podcast, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, of course, here. And like always, we have Claire, the Plastic Architect.
Hello, how are you?
Ninja.
Whoop, whoop.
And this time around, we have one of many. There's I don't know, there's four of you now, right?
Yeah, I think so. At last count.
Officially. Yeah. Of another fellow show that is a weekly thing. And we've all been on that show before. So now we finally got to bring one of them on here. Sean the Right Way. How's it going, man?
Good. What's happening, everybody? Yeah, happy to be here. We were just talking off air. It's like we're talking about topics for the night. I'm like, cool. I didn't have to lay out any topics for the first time. It's just exciting. It's like a speed round or something. I can just go, yes, no, that's good.
I mean, don't do the
side.
Yes, no part, but
no, I know. I'm kidding.
Elaborate on your. How does it feel to not run the show?
Right.
It feels great. It really does.
No stress, right?
No, it's not. It's a lot less. Not that the show is stressful, but you want to try to put on an entertaining product and come up with compelling topics or guests or whatever you can. So
I can't lie. I was expecting your intro music.
I know. I was like, what's funny is I sat down, my glasses were downstairs, and I'm like, I'm not doing my thing. The intro, yeah.
I know.
I think. Speaking of the intro, I think the best reception of the intro was definitely Claire. If you guys haven't seen that episode, because she was just being nice coming on the show. I think we were Claire might have been in our first 10 or something. She's like, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, I didn't even know if you guys had a guest on yet or something, maybe Shy or something. But I was honest.
Yeah,
I was
probably.
I haven't seen the show. Yeah, sure, I'll come hang out or whatever. And then you guys didn't even tell me. You didn't say anything. You're like, hey, just as a heads up, we have this intro. But
yeah. So we just started it, and Claire sits up I don't know what that was, but it was pretty cool or something. So
yes,
and then we did. Holly ended up doing the same thing. And Claire was in the chat that night when Holly was on, and she's like, "It's crazy, right?" She goes, "I had no idea that was happening." So it's just kind of funny, some people come on blind, which is cool. That's kind of the way to do it. In this case, I've been watching you guys for, if not all 98 episodes, most of them, I would say. Oh. So it's pretty cool. I mean, let me demonstrate how much I've been watching. I'm actually I'm going to be preparing a little bit of dinner while I'm doing the show tonight.
Oh my God! Did you go?
Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Claire right here. Little pasta,
Nice.
Hey, she's a multitasker. I've heard about it.
You guys want me to make dinner after we film this thing? I don't understand.
No,
it doesn't work like that.
But I had to get that in for you. Just shout out. Okay, I brought a pot upstairs just for you.
That's gonna be a reel for sure.
Do it, run it. Reels are the future, right?
We're gonna dive very heavily into you in a second, but before that, a couple things have just been announced.
Yeah.
Lego-wise, I'm just going to hit straight to the home run one, is the modular. So, assuming that it's true,
Hey, Brick Clique, I said it, so it's probably true.
Yeah.
You never know. But what do you guys think about the Pizzeria Jazz Cafe?
I took a quick look at it. I guess I'm just glad it's only $229 and they didn't go crazy. That's my first thought. I don't like looking at the Blur-O-Vision stuff,
Wait, there's images of it? I thought it was just
Falcon's got them. So
what?
If you want to cut that into here later, you can. But Falcon had them, yeah.
Oh wow! Okay,
I believe they were legit, but they were blurry and not great.
Okay, so color-wise, what was it looking like?
Red and white, I think. Yeah. And then GWP is a pizza truck.
Oh, is that actually coming out when it comes out, or?
We'll see.
Probably not. Probably a couple weeks after. Sorry, Hyde.
Shout out to this. It's funny because I was just looking at this the other day and I was like, yeah, are they going to pull that scheme again?
Yeah.
Is there going to be references to the old pizza set from back in the 90s? I had that set, the pizzeria.
Dude, I literally looked at it for 2 minutes. I didn't do the full deep dive. It was just on lunch break or something. You know what I mean? I was just kind of
I haven't seen the original. I did see the obviously the announcements of it, Jessica and everyone else. I didn't watch any of the content yet just because I just didn't have time. But I was disappointed I didn't want it to be another foodie hangout. I'll take it. I mean, the cities need them. I was hoping for like a proper municipal building or like a hospital or a school, something that is needed, not another place to eat. But I'll take it. If there's references to the pizzeria shop from the like when I was a kid,
I'm sure they do it. They do a nice job of that, right? Like calling back, paying homage, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes,
especially on the girthier sets.
Oh, that's right.
You see what I did there?
For $230, it's not that bad. It's funny how we've accepted that price point.
Yeah, well, I just want to say something. Like, we've all been down. I feel like the community's been down. Lego YouTube in particular. I mean, that's who I interact with on the pricing, and probably rightfully so for the most part, mainly because these prices have been for sets that nobody wants. But I will say, of the waves that I've seen, the little bit of info that we've gotten on Jan 1st, it looks like they've chilled out a little bit. And we're going to probably get into Avatar. Not trying to host your shots.
No, that's perfect. That's a good segue to that. So Avatar.
They're reasonable, I thought. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not buying them because they're terrible, but they're reasonable. They're all like...
I don't think they're that bad. I feel like I watched the
Wave
movie.
1 is awesome. No, Wave 1 I'm getting most or all of them.
I think Wave 1 also was great because we also have like references to what we're looking at.
Right, that's true. I'm sure
we don't really know what's happening.
Wave 2 is the new movie, which we don't know.
Yeah.
Whale looks cool, though.
Somebody called out Sharknado on the one.
So good. Have you guys, Shai, I know you and I were able to go on Flight of Passage out Disney World. And there's this obviously there's like a couple scenes like in the original movie where they do go underwater. And then in Flight of Passage, you get to go underwater, which is like super cool. And you get to see like a glimpse of that world. Yeah. I don't know. That was just like it. I love like anything Avatar. Anything.
Oh, there's a kitty.
Yeah.
Happy to be home. Yeah, listen, the first wave grew on me. All this stuff grows on me. I think that's part of the problem, right? We stare at it long enough and you start going, there's glow in the dark there. I like that. So, but with this one, at first glance, it's, I'm just like, not as strong as series 1. To your point, Shai, we don't, we haven't seen the sequel yet. So I'm sure once we do, maybe there'll be some feelings there. Mm-hmm. Just looking at the builds, though, I don't know. Claire, Disney. The tree is coming home. It's at Animal Kingdom. I don't have a choice. I literally don't. I have to buy that. The rest, we're gonna figure out. But like, I'm starting with the tree. I've asked for that for Christmas, and then like I'll get the other ones when we start getting into deals. Maybe, hopefully.
Well, the double VIP and promos are like that are coming out rumored for the next 2 months. Looks like it's going to be easy to get those pretty quick.
Oh, really? I don't even know anything that's happening on that end.
It's like a bunch of stuff. Supposedly, I don't know, but like rumored to have like a bunch of different type of GWPs, plus the double VIPs for the Black Friday area, and the weekend before as well. Rumored wise, I don't remember what it is. I think another one was like that like skating ring thing again. I don't know. It's the Elf one. I think we've seen it before.
There's a Santa one too, I think. So
yeah, the Santa one, the Eiffel Tower. Oh, did anyone? I've heard only one person talk about the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with Eiffel's apartment, which is a cool GWP. But I don't have any interest in the set. You're saying.
I mean, I think it's going to be. I think it's cool objectively, but like. I haven't even gotten the chance to like buy the Harry Potter train yet, so like I feel like I'm so behind in terms of like a lot of these like crazy sets. Like and then there's like the Hulkbuster, and I'm really curious like who's getting that one, but I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Like honestly, like we took a little bit of a break from buying Lego, and then I bought like a few pieces when we were in Florida. And like right now, honestly, like I'm having more fun buying stuff off Bricklink. And you know how you go through phases with Lego? You kind of like, get a few pieces, you do third party, you like do whatever it is. And right now I'm like not particularly interested in going to the store and like buying a set. But if there's a GWP that I think is interesting, I'm obviously going to buy it. Like we bought the Christmas tree early because to get that 3-in-1 witch thing that has like another witch.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, look, that's what it takes to bring people out, right? And they know that, and it's just the way it is. I agree. I mean, there's so much stuff, and not to mention the fact that, can we talk about double VIP for a second? A little rant here. It's 10%. Okay, so like, there's so many other deals to be had. For me, it does take a GWP to kind of get me into to the Lego store unless it's something I absolutely have to have that's an exclusive day one, which is happening less and less now, I would say.
Yeah.
Because typically, whether at Target or wherever, it's cheaper. And I prefer to have cold hard cash off rather than VIP points at this point. I have $600-$700 and I want to save I want to get the AT-AT with it. So I get that it's like a savings account or whatever, but I can't in clear conscience go overpay for something to get less back through VIP. But I will if you're going to throw me a set that's worth $30 or $40 that I find interesting on a GWP. So
no, not
people spaz out over 10%, and it's like a lot of sets are 20% off every day.
I think more so. That mode of thought is something that I think is very unique that you bring to the table, which we're going to get into in a bit. So we're going to dive right back into that thought process. But to rebuttal that, not necessarily mean that it's why are we going to the Lego store, but I think it's just something about Lego fans just wanting to buy something in the Lego store. You know what I mean? We know that's cheaper everywhere else. You know what I mean? But just to walk into a Lego store and come out with something, I think that's what we all love to do. I mean, it doesn't have to be something huge, but it just
guaranteed Pap Cup every time.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's just something that
I agree.
Lego knows it. Like they know.
No, I prefer the in-person thing. Just to be clear, I think it's great, and you still get those little butterflies going through, and the yellow, and surrounded by the yellow and red. And look, I get it, but I mean, from a strictly online perspective, it's a little bit loony. And then I guess I'm a little more practical, or whatever you want to call it, but $6 a gallon of gas, and then so whatever 10% off savings you had is wiped out. I get all that. I'm not trying to be a Grinch, but people really put a lot of weight into double VIP, and I only think it's sweet when there's a GWP or another acronym we can throw out.
Do you like going to the movies?
Yeah, I like going to the movies.
So why not just wait till it comes out on?
I think a transaction in a store isn't as much of an experience for me than going to the movies. I get where you're going with that, but yeah, I know where you're headed. I feel like going to the movies.
You and I, we're spoiled. We have
we got it all. Yeah.
Lego stores right next to us.
Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, I'm saying I like to go to the Lego store to go. I'm saying that doesn't motivate me to go. I hope that. Yeah. I will go once a week if time permits for any or no reason at all. But double VIP, I'm not jerking the wheel on the highway. Gotta get there, because I don't know. Yeah.
See, I had to cut back. Those Pap Cups stack up, and now I'm I don't know where to put all these things.
Yeah.
I gotta chill out.
Right. All right. So we got a little bit into Sean a little bit. So let's just dive really heavy into him. So, hey, Sean, who are you and what's your Lego story?
And what is the right way?
So Sean the Right Way is, for the name, is when I was in my 20s, I would go to my local establishment, watering hole, and I guess apparently the first time I ever went in there, when they were setting up my tab, the bartender asked me what my name was, and I said, Sean the Right Way, because I could see that he was entering it into something. And it's always funny to see what people come back with or what they think the right way is. And I had forgotten I had done that. And I don't know, 2 years later, he gives me my tab, and I finally paid attention to it. It says Sean the Right Way. And I'm like, what does this mean? He's like, well, this is what you told me the first time you ever came in here. Make sure you spell it the right way. So I just thought it was funny. So,
did he spell it right? Though?
Yeah, no, he did.
Oh,
yeah, he got it the right way. Well, because I think you're supposed to say the Irish way, but I'm just jumping in and saying the right way. So that's the origin of the name. People ask all the time. Probably good to get that out. Secondly, who am I? Dad of 2 kids. I work in big retail, primarily selling and marketing products through major chains, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, Home Depot, etc., just depending on what industry I'm in currently. And then why I'm into Lego is probably because of Disney initially, because they had some really cool sets that kind of spoke to me when I was late 30s, early 40s. Park stuff. I'm a major parks guy, and the 1-2 punch of the castle and the train were a little too hard to resist. Got into it. My first set I ever built was the Disney train. Ooh. What a doozy to do for the first time. Should have started with a mech, or something, which would have turned me off. I don't know, but I did that and slogged through that and struggled through it. But it was cool because I've been buying collectibles and stuff my whole life, but I felt like I earned that one, because I actually put work into it, and it was cool, and it lasted longer, and it was interactive, and yada yada. And I had kids, and I'm like, this will be fun with them. And then snowball spiral. Oh, they sell Star Wars? Cool. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. And then, making excuses to justify getting stuff that wasn't specifically Disney park stuff. Because as Claire knows, there's not, all of you know, there's not a whole heck of a lot of it. So I was like, I want to keep doing this, but I don't have. They're not pumping out these park sets. So that's kind of it. And then as far as like YouTube, like many, I've consumed it for however long the platform has been on. I prefer this to TV any day. There's a few series I'll watch, but I kind of got the gist of it. I've hosted shows and podcasts off and on over the years, the start and stop stuff. Was a DJ before, so I'm comfortable with this sort of thing, and I felt like I could figure it out technologically, etc. So I was watching Brent stream from Brent's Bricks. He had a couple dozen people on his times, the way he came on at the right time for my time zone. And I'm just watching it, and he was really engaging, and he was doing this by himself, streaming and building. And I thought it looked really fun. And the idea came from but I bet he wishes, he could concentrate on the build a little more, and, someone else could fill while he's doing something else. And I've noticed David and maybe a couple other people going to do that. They have a guy on a speakerphone or something. And so long story short, I just thought Brent was cool just from watching him. I guess you could call it as a fan or a viewer. And I just hit him up on his DMs. I said, you don't know me from Adam, but I was like, I have an idea. And I was like, why don't we just do a test run? I think I can do this. And he's like, yeah, sure. Because he agreed. It's kind of a slog doing it by yourself. Some people are really good or comfortable at it, but he was like, no, it'd be great. So we did a test shot, and then it was he and I for whatever it was, 10, 20 weeks. And then we brought in Max, and then here we are. That's it. And you watch those first episodes, and, it's fun because they're really rough, and or some of the recent ones, but I guess that's what makes it fun. But it is kind of cool to see the growth from nothing to, we're in the mid 400s now too, which is cool. And that's without any kind of big push. It's been pretty organic, and that's kind of cool. So
most definitely. I mean, it's entertaining.
Oh, that's too long of an answer, but that's kind of the story. I didn't see much out there. I saw you guys and a handful of other ones. It looked like there was a lot of start and stops in the space. And then I guess last thing I'd say is why a live stream? Dad of 2, job, house, wife, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't really have time to edit like that, so let's just rip it live. And I prefer live generally on just about everything because all hell can break loose.
It's different, yeah.
I like that.
Especially with the chat and everything, it just makes it different.
Yeah. So it's kind of it in a nutshell.
Nice.
So if no one here's got it to this point where they didn't understand what show it was, what's the show called?
Oh, I should probably promote it. Show's called A Couple of Brickheads. And then the origin of that is I have been part of shows or trying to start shows, and it's so funny. The name, people will battle on the name for 2-3 weeks. It doesn't really make sense. This doesn't feel like us. And for me, I once Brent agreed to it, I was like, yeah, I just had 1 or 2 names here. I have a couple of brickheads. These guys are a couple of brickheads. And he's like, I love it. I'm like, great. I mean, there really wasn't a lot that went into it, So I was more concerned with make sure we put an S and not a Z so they don't come after us. And what's so funny is I just clown people that have lovingly clown people that have the word brick in their name because it's literally just about everybody, in the space. And
Not us.
I know, but
What do you?
oh no, you do in your name, yeah, but not in your individual
I'm not talking
names.
about Cali Brick Clique. I'm
Ninja
talking about
does sort of, but he did his
It's
ninja little
back there.
twist.
It's back there.
But anyway, so we
you
just
can't find Ninja typing his name.
but
You gotta
I
put
will
with the
say
bricks. That's it.
the thing I learned, and this maybe is through osmosis of watching these, and I hate this word, content creators. It just feels icky. But watching all these, I'm just not a fan of it. Do this. It was always doesn't matter your equipment, just get started. You'll figure it out. Just shoot videos, get better, repetition, all that. And this time that's kind of what we did, because I've done the thing where I've went out and bought the Casey Neistat Deluxe and tried to figure out the right channel name and the right icon and all this stuff. And you're so in the weeds with that. That's why I was like, all right, names decided, shows decided, we can change stuff later. Let's just rip. And that was the best thing for me, because you can really get caught up with paralysis by analysis or whatever, and you're just like, you don't even know if you have anything, and you're going out and spending whatever, 2,000 on a camera rig and all that, 5,000. I mean, it's nuts. So
digging that hole. Yeah.
So like everybody who says this in the space, just do it. It's fine. It's not going to be great. It gets better. I mean, you listen to Ryan, he hates his first video. Everybody hates their first videos, right? It's just, you better get used to it. Like people, you got to have thick skin, you know? So
I think I heard Ryan say before, if your video quality is going down, then something's bad. Like if your first video is better than the video you just put out, some's not right.
Yeah, I was going to say your video quality should improve, but you mean like the enjoyment?
Yeah, both. Well, both.
You should.
That's true. Yeah,
if it's just going downhill, you're not going up. Obviously,
because I have all that stuff, and I would like to get to that. It's just bandwidth, man.
I mean, you sound great all the time.
I have the A7 IV, I have that stuff. I just don't have time. Like I would love to.
That's a huge factor, especially like you said, you have two little ones.
Yeah, there's not a lot of self-sufficiency going on. One can kind of get herself cereal, but that's about it.
Just kind of.
Well, no, I'm hearing about the dream from parents. I'm like, do I ever get to sleep? They're like, oh yeah, no, when they're 5, they'll go down there and they'll make I'm like, what? I don't.
Yeah,
it makes me nervous. They're gonna make their own breakfast. Like, how are they?
Yeah.
They're burning things, and I know. And now she's putting her shoes on. I'm good, Dad. I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like it's.
Yeah,
I'm already.
It's that trade off. It's
I'm
like
already it is. It's heartbreaking, but you're like, it's kind of cool, but it's not sad.
I can't. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. They argue about everything, like sibling. That sibling argument. It's just.
Yeah, it's not on yet.
He's breathing my air. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh everyone's gonna breathe your air. Just you gotta get used to it.
The only thing I'm dealing with, so I have a 4-year-old girl and then a 16-month-old boy, and the only thing I'm dealing with is the pure, clear jealousy, because he's the new guy. She had it all to her, so like we have a little bit of that, but like that's expected. And I love how honest they are. There's no right on their face. You know exactly where Daddy stands on every motion I make. So I'm enjoying it.
Pierce the heart. I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
It's good to see shows like ACOB. Sorry, I'm saying amongst others, like start from like pandemic mode and continue like afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was only before us, there were maybe there was always like a Lego podcast. I would say like they're more on like the actual podcast platforms before YouTube. And there were some on YouTube, but they like Ryan's like his kind of died out.
He had a couple, right? Then he had the one with the minifig kid and like I forget his name.
Oh, yeah.
He had 2, I believe.
Yeah,
2 big ones, and the one before, which was the one he had on Sundays, which was Bits and Bricks. Like that one was pretty good. Like he would it posted every Sunday. It was just something to like kind of listen into, and it was like a favorite of mine. And I was fortunate to be on the show like a couple times, but like once he ended it, there was nothing.
There was a gap. Yeah, you were like you kind of enjoyed liked having a late night version of I agree. And then I looked at it. There might have been a few. Yeah, most were like dormant. But the one thing I did notice is, and again, shout out to everybody, but most of them is people sitting there just building the whole time.
Yeah,
and that's cool. Claire does all of it. She cooks, she builds, she talks, she does all that stuff. But there's some who just straight up build, and they got like the overhead cam, and they're really getting in the and then just reading like the comments. Hey, Steve, like I wanted something that was a little more like. I felt like for the viewer, and I get that that's a different stream. Like people like a nice chill.
You have a show. It's not a stream. It's a show.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted it to be a show. Like everything.
Entertainment.
I don't know. From my background is like, and there's so much more I'd like to do. But from the intro, it's all very calculated because I wanted it to be treated as a show. We don't just flippantly, except some nights, Shy, you've been there, just drop the invites and like you're not going to hopefully see very often. Not that there's anything wrong with it again, but 12 heads all going, inside jokes central. I wanted it to be like you guys, like one featured guest. You can have a focus. We have rails. We go off of them. We drink half the time. We like
the naturalness, though. It adds to the show.
I'm not there from the beginning, and I kind of just tune in like halfway in, and like
you're like, oh, okay.
I'm like, what's happening?
But that's good. That means you have to be there, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Give people that FOMO.
Yeah. So, you know, and I've seen people like, you know, beers and bricks and that kind of thing. And we don't like lean into it and make a focal point. And I don't think people get too crazy with it. But I think the one thing is like, we did want to, I think the 18 plus thing was a major influence too. We are a little blue on our show. We don't, you know, we will cuss and whatnot. Nothing, I think, offensive other than just like the cuss words themselves, you know, nothing too,
keep it classy,
too scandalous. But, you know, like, yeah, we just wanted something that was for adults, clearly, and with the time zone. And it's still evolving. We're still figuring it out. What I've been looking at, I'm starting to figure out analytics and all that stuff, which I do for work. I know I'm being like sarcastic here. Like I do that all day, every day. Maybe that's why I'm just kind of like with my little collection of subs here, my small but mighty girth gang that follows us. What's interesting, and I think the coolest thing is our standalone shows. So, I mean, I don't know what your guys' strategy was, but it was obviously for us, like, nobody knows who the hell we are. Let's see if anybody's cool enough. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to everybody who was so cool to come on this unknown thing in those first few episodes. But what's cool is our standalone shows with just us are like holding, you know, for a while, I was like, no, we need the guests to draw. But it turns out like some of them are coming back for just us. And if not more views or whatever and view duration when it's just the original crew. And like, that's been the coolest thing that's happened on this show. You know, you don't need to have the draw every time. So now we're kind of like, but the one thing I did notice is when we had Claire or when we had Nicole on, she was on as a guest, but it just felt so right. I think that night, Shy, because you would watch it or you watch it on Replay Gang, I'm like, how'd that feel to you? You were like, it was cool because it was different. She was hanging and she was counter punching and she was like, and I was like, okay. So like that was like a one night that I was like, hey, how would you like to come in a couple more times to see how this goes? And then boom. So like, you know, I thought it was needed.
She definitely clicks with you guys pretty well. There's definitely, you know, there's no friction. Well, I mean, there's proper friction like when it needs to happen, but like I think in general, which is, you know, something that I wanted for this podcast from the very beginning, is that like a woman's voice is not necessarily her voice, but like her thought process and what she brings to the table has so much value. Because like Claire is a perfect example right there. She can multitask throughout all of this, shows who she is as a woman versus everybody else who can only singly move, which is, you know, something that all men do. We can't do two things at one time properly. We have to be focused on one thing while she's like cooking dinner for like Sands. She's working at the same time. She's actually building a Lego set, organizing, and she's also paying attention to the conversation.
That's what I was going to say.
We can't do that. It's not happening with us. I can't do that.
I want to hear Claire's thoughts on this, but it's funny because I heard someone say like, oh no, not another two dudes podcast. You know, not about us. It was about something else. But we were, in fact, at the time, a two dudes podcast. And I was like, yeah, no, there's something to that because no matter what the content is, there's, you know, all those podcasts you mentioned that were on before you guys and us or this kind of newer wave was generally two dudes or 18 dudes like just talking. And so I was like, yeah, two dudes talking is kind of grind on you and get boring. So I was like, you know, I think that makes sense and just kind of hit me all at once. But Claire, how does it feel for you? I mean, typically, well, you guys do a nice job though of getting male and female guests, but a lot of times it is like a 3-on-1 with you being the lone female perspective on this. How are you finding it?
Okay, I don't want to like just like poo-poo on everything you guys said, but the reality is like just because I'm a female doesn't mean I represent like the entire female population, right? So like I represent like my thoughts and my experiences. My experiences are like mostly based on like the way that the world sees me, right? And the way that I see the world. And that happens to be female. So I think there's like a mistake that a lot of people do where it's like, oh, like, you know, if we just get any female body here, then it will attract like a female audience. And unfortunately, like doesn't really work that way. And so, and if it's like two dudes that are talking and they're intellectual and they're interesting and they have good chemistry, I'm going to enjoy it. And if a girl is on there and she doesn't add anything, that's not going to make me watch it or people that are like-minded as me, whether they are whatever gender they identify with. So
it has to be the right fit, right? Like that's what I'm saying. With her, it was more about she was in the pocket the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
like,
we weren't targeting it just to be clear. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think, it has to be good content. Like that's like the reality of it, whatever it is. This is like, I'm not talking about anything in specific now, right?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the Lego community though, it's a lot more complicated because there's this like lack of female content creators. And so a lot of the female content creators tend to gravitate towards each other for simple camaraderie of like, oh wow, there's like another one there. Mm-hmm. And then, but that's like what happens when you're in scenarios like that. And to be honest, like I like my friends, but there is a world where like if we didn't exist, if we weren't introduced, if there was hundreds of thousands of more female Lego content creators, we may never have met or become friends. And so I think that's more of like a statement of the environment in terms of like the diversity that exists within the Lego community and like the Lego space, that it is really limited. And, or at least that's what it seems like from my perspective, going to conventions and people who comment and whatnot, it is like a small space. So it would be nice if like it expanded, but we can only wish so much. So I guess like my perspective on the whole thing is really doesn't really exist. Like I really don't really think about it, to be honest, like that much. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to watch that because there's women on it. I enjoyed watching your guys' stuff, regardless. I wasn't like thinking to myself like, oh, this needs. I'm never like, no, and it's not like you guys are making like decisions and managing people, and like that's the kind of stuff that where I think like you need to diversify the opinions. Like if people want to get together and have a podcast, fine, like no big deal,
Yeah.
Is that too full circle?
No. That's great. No, that's why I wanted your perspective on it. And that's what it was. Yeah. I just did. I think it was, it was like very much a feel thing. And if you want to call it an added bonus, that it did bring that perspective and, the female perspective. And she was kind of newish to it, like the rest of us were. I think, Brent was into it as a kid, but then he had the long dark age and all that, so they're like, I like the bright eyes kind of approach to it. That's
probably more interesting from my perspective, is that it's like a new person that's in the hobby, someone whose platform is majority on Instagram so that's also interesting in its own right. And so I think that's really where like the wealth stands. And from like that person as their own experiences and whatever their work is, whatever their, life story is, not just, what gender they identify with. And I think that's like, people always ask, they're like, what is it like being a female architect? I'm an architect. Like, what do you stop putting? And like, it is completely demeaning and demoralizing to ask women what it's like to be a professional woman. They're a professional. They're not a woman professional. There is no such thing.
I think a lot of times people are, as everyone gets educated, they're just trying to probably sometimes just make conversation. Sometimes they are maybe trying to take a slight, depends on the person. But I think when you are in an industry or a space that is dominated by the other, I think it's sort of natural or almost polite maybe to ask like what it's like. It just depends on who it is and what part of their heart it's coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if they give you an honest answer, it means they're probably underpaid and overworked. But
I agree.
I don't think that's the answer most people are looking for when they ask. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it in the perspective of the military, when there are very few in very different places, very dominated by the male side. But when you see like a woman, female fighter pilot or a general, it's like we know how hard it is that they got, like how hard it was for them to get to the positions that they're on.
So I would ask them, like, tell me about your lived experience. Don't tell me about what it is like. And they will inherently tell you that. Like, it's not, I don't know. Maybe it's just my own experience. I'm curious if like, I know there's other female professionals that listen to this podcast. I'm curious what their thoughts are.
I mean, I enjoy it. So thanks, Claire, for responding to me a long time ago after I saw you rant at another podcast.
That's what I was going to say. The way we met, Claire, maybe.
So we met during a podcast that was there was some like misinformation that was like being spread during the pandemic, which is like obviously like something that is like really scary, and someone was encouraging people to like enter into Walmarts without masks and really just encouraging the audience to do that. And just an uneducated like piece of garbage human. And so I saw that, and I was not part of the community, and I I decided to vocalize myself. And it's funny because like in the same scenario, Shy saw what I was saying and was like, oh, that person, like I align with how they're thinking, you know, to me. And then Sans, who's like, now my partner was like, that person is so annoying. And so...
Wait, so hold on. Let's back up a little bit. So was this was a live stream and you like jumped on, or were you just writing comments?
I was just in the chat or whatever. It was just a live stream and stuff.
Yeah, it was like you went on and blasted them live on the air.
Claire, okay, I remember this.
I don't think we need to give specifics.
Yeah, that's fine. So that's where you saw her, and
it's just this person, as I'm seeing it, I didn't even know who Claire was, what she looked like, who she was, who she is in the community, what she does. Nothing. We know nothing of this person. All we see is the plastic architect. But
that first profile pic.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even tell what the profile pic was. I was literally in my mail truck delivering, so I just kept stopping. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's a serious comment. And it wasn't just like one; it was like two. It was like three, and it's just coming. I was just like, "Oh, this person has some ammo," and it wasn't at a trolly, like kind of like push. It was like educated.
It's like that.
So
makes
I was
sense.
like, "Oh, okay, this person's smart." I'm gonna just like really, really pay attention, and and she just started coming around.
I wouldn't recommend anyone doing what I did. I think I had no idea the audience that I was like speaking to, that it was like the majority of the Lego community, like not in our little space, not in during your podcast and stuff like that. We have these like little niche parts of the community that are ours and they're precious and they're, hold on to them like dearly. But the majority of the space is like flooded with like just like teenage, like a lot of kids and teenagers that like don't get enough attention from their parents. And so they go to the internet. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is like, they get their news from like Twitter and Facebook. And unfortunately, that's not exclusive to teenagers. And so it's just, you're literally like, I was shouting in a barrel, like with a bunch of idiots in it. And so apparently also like Shy was there and Sans. So I don't know what that says about them and the fact that I was there as well. But like it is only like a sidebar good thing that like I got to meet Shy and Sans and Ryan and through a bunch of different people. And honestly, it's like Cece who really like introduced me to everybody. But like I wouldn't recommend that being the way that people interact and like get into the community, if that makes sense. Like don't go on a live stream and just get super upset with somebody when you're like politically fueled and just like type like a maniac.
No, but you were saying so many things that people were thinking and didn't have the courage to say.
Well, but like, I was just like, this is so weird. This person has like a pretty large platform. There's like a few hundred people watching this and they're listening and they're like getting riled up and they're like, yeah, you're so right. Like, I'm like, what is this? And like, I felt like I have this problem of like feeling like it's my responsibility to say the right thing. And like, for example, like you guys being like, what is it like to have like the women's experience in the Lego community? And I'm like, you know what, let me just like tell you, that's not really the right way to ask people about that stuff, but that's okay. I didn't know. And you just got to take the feedback.
How am I supposed to know that?
But the reality is that like, you can't just like, that doesn't always like work to your benefit. Like people aren't always wanting to listen to feedback. That's like not what people are always here for. If that makes sense.
That's true. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think though, like when people sort of take offense first and foremost into how something was asked, it's almost like it can disarm the person asking the question, like to the point where it was like I said, I think it all just has to come from the place of who's asking, if they genuinely want to know, or do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it's also like disregarding.
I know, but not everybody's looking to be like educated or schooled on everything in every interaction. So it kind of like, it just depends situationally, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like you're like, if someone insults you, even if they don't mean to be insulting, do you expect people to just be insulted and cower? Or should people stand up for themselves?
I think for me, when that happens to me, I try to do it like through the course of the answer or like throughout our time together. Like that's my approach. But I'm also like in leadership and sales, like I can't react that way a lot of times. Like it depends. Again, it depends on the situation. Where am I? What did they say? How offensive was it? What was the intent behind it? That's just kind of, I don't know. Everybody has their own way, I guess.
Well, I mean, in marketing though, since you're in it, your job is to target specific types of like individuals, right, for a product, right? So like you have to like go in very heavily. It's kind of hard to be very proper in asking a question, because if you have like A, B, and C, if you're living like a test group, right? Like you can't like flood it. Like you have to be very specific, don't you? With like specific like groups of people, like how would this work with this type of like this class of people versus this class of people versus this class of people. So you have to kind of segregate like your audience in a way.
You build different cohorts depending on what the campaign is, what the message, what you're trying to accomplish, and then you can do testing against.
Why? I can see how that could like veer off to someone who isn't like prepared for something like that in a way. But I do get the way it's asked. Like I honestly didn't know that would be offensive. I mean, I've never really been in a situation like that, but I wouldn't know. Maybe I have passively offended some people. I mean, whoops.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, like I due to like work and my setup and being at home, like I watch my kids a lot, maybe more, and this might be controversial too, but like more than I think most men do. I just think so. Based on feedback, and people ask me what that's like, and I can't wait to tell them. You know what I mean? Like now, some people will take that and be like, I'm some sort of hero and all, and I get that's wrong, but like I do it proudly because it's unique and it's cool and like it's different. You know what I mean? So
shout out to Taylor Swift. I just went straight to the music video. No. So
what?
I'm happy that you're here, Claire. I'm happy that I met you and happy that you got like really angry. All right. Well, so you kind of talked about it a little bit. So you do marketing, and I think that's something you add. The thinking behind big box store and the influences behind what other companies, especially Disney, has on Lego. Because as Lego fans, we're very quick to criticize Lego, very. And we don't really think about other factors and variables that like really play into pricing, the type of product, who it's marketed for, who's selling it, like all those influences. When you started coming around, you really started hammering that because you have that experience of how to like set up an aisle properly at like a Walmart. You know what I mean? Like,
well, don't sell yourself short. I mean, you're a retail guy too. I mean, you've have experience. I don't know how much you've shared with everybody, but you have experience.
Not big box. My type of retail is merchandising and
I mean, it's all
same selling process, but like you're at a level that's like crazy big. And we're talking about a little bit earlier about what you bring to the table, how you come into it, and that's what really gravitated like me paying attention to what you have to say.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, like, so I'll do the really fast version. So my background on like professional stuff is I started off in stores. I started off in a T-Mobile store selling phones 20 years ago, right?
Well, you're a hustler.
So I was just learning. I thought I knew retail because I worked in a retail store. Fast forward a couple of years, I didn't want to be inside four walls anymore. I became a rep for a specific brand. They moved me to San Diego. Late 20s was my first time being in an office environment in my life. And I had to learn that whole thing, like the cadence and the rhythms and who does this and, like shouldn't say this. And the fact that when you send an email, you have to say hi and, I knew nothing about corporate life. But the reason they brought me there, and that's what I kind of sold them on, was, okay, well, I know what it's like to be a guy or gal in these stores all day, every day with real feedback while you guys sit in the ivory tower and you think you know what's going on down there. I'm going to be the guy who tells you what actually goes on there. And I'll go back in and, see if my hunches are right, if we make these changes and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of what I did. I was doing a merchandising and field marketing role for a brand, and then really just loved the idea of big retail programs. And so I had one of my bosses took me under his wing, and I started going to like these Best Buy meetings and these Target meetings with him. Just hard to imagine, but just like mouth shut the whole time, ears open, just listening. And I was like, okay, this is retail. Like I thought I understood retail, and it's not to sell yourself short if you just work it. You know plenty about retail, but what I thought what I brought to the table, Shai, and probably what you're talking about to get to your main point is I understand how buyers think, and I understand what happens with these brands in these boardrooms that make these decisions on what products they're putting out. I know about the powers that drive some of those decisions from the outside. I am by no means claiming to know it all. I just feel like I've got a pretty good hunch on how some of this goes down because I've lived it. And so that kind of comes out on the show. We don't make ourselves about that, but when the mood strikes me, like I can go down that and go down that path for 10 or 15 minutes. And I guess the most recent example, which I was wrong on, which is crazy. I'll admit it. It's fine. Lego did something I've never seen where they actually took pricing and increased it on shelf. For weeks, I said, they're not going to do that. There's no way they can do that at Walmart, Target, because I've never seen it. I have never seen a full stack price increase with it not being a new SKU or a new updated model like that. I've never seen it. And they did it, overnight. There were sets that were 40 that turned to 50 at Walmart. Like, I put myself out there and I'm like, I just don't see it, because the amount of funding and just like, there's so many dependencies, but like mainly it has to do with the economics of the thing. It's like, are they just letting them up the price on what's out there, and then Walmart collects all that margin, but then are they going to expect them to pay more for that same inventory that they're getting to restock, but pay more for it the next time around? How's that going to work? You know what I mean? Like that was the part that was befuddling to me. I figured they would do a rolling change, with the newer sets coming out, which we've seen, right? So the new modular, I think, is 230, right? And they've been 2. That's what I expected. I didn't expect that. But like, yeah, that sort of analysis. I'm like, I'm telling you what they're thinking here. They're going to try this, and this. And, because they have a whole aisle and they could leverage it. But, these impacts, a lot of people don't know, but Walmart has like 9,000 stores in the US, right? So it's like, these are big numbers we're talking about here. Sliding everything up $1 can have major consequences or, whatever. So yeah, like that's just like one quick example of stuff we get into. But yeah, we talk about restocks and run rates and what we think's going to happen and end of life and, that kind of stuff. Lego Star Wars gets beaten up quite a bit on their decisions for sets. And I don't even need to have this confirmed. Disney, and I've said this since I've started this, I'm like, Disney is obviously dictating what they're making. They're like, they should listen to it. And it's like, it's probably in the agreement that for the license, they're going to need to support things like Kenobi and,
Yeah.
It makes sense. And when you're launching something like a show, you want product to kind of correlate with what's happening in front. That's like the best thing to do on both parts, both for the show and obviously the retailers. Like, why would you not want to have it not kind of divert when you could kind of jump on the hype train, which is pretty much what it is.
I mean, they made a battle pack for Battlefront too.
Yeah. Yeah, and they need to have the synergy and all these buzz corporate work, all that. It all makes sense, but those are just some of a couple that are coming top of mind that I could kind of, share my experience on, because I've like I said, I've been in those places where they're like, yeah, but they said we got to get this one out, because I've done some licensing stuff too. Like, I get it,
I feel like that needs to be like spread out more than just your show. Just like, if you could just make that. I know you don't have time for it, but like, there's not a lot of talk of that. When Black Panther came out, I know you guys were like destroying this set. Like, who asked for this set? I'm like, I'm sure you mentioned it. Disney asked for this set.
Disney asked for the set, sure.
That's exactly.
But the job of a marketer and a product team is to satisfy all of it the absolute best you can. And I don't know, because you have these other powers at work, right? Then your butt's on the line, because you've got to make these numbers by the end of this quarter. You know what I mean? So there is a little bit of like pushback you can have, and like how that got out at that price point, and then the Hulk bust. I mean, that's a whole nother scenario. But like it's funny, but it's not, because like somebody's likely, I don't know if they'll get canned for it, but like they're going to get some kind of marks for it. And it's not easy to just go like, well, Disney said we had to make it, and then they'll be like, yeah, but you committed to this number. You designed it. And then the finger pointing stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's all kinds of dependencies there.
I mean, it's not to say that Lego won't clean house, because they've done that a bunch of times.
And I don't like to see that. And I bet, I saw some of the guys and gals were lucky enough to go out there and interview them like that. We got a little bit of that. We got confirmation of that on Star Wars. They said it flat out. Like, they're dictating what they make. I mean, to me, I read between whatever lines there were there. And so I think that's happening a lot. So when somebody says a certain designer or Lego itself sucks or whatever, like that bothers me a little bit, because I think, yes, they've made some decisions like video. you got to give it a whirl, but you understand that too, because then they've got people saying like, we need to get into VR and AR. Like, there's just so many forces, but usually when people stick to their core products that brought everybody to the yard to begin with, they end up doing well. But you got to experiment, right? So
I mean, which they do always have. There's always that core. They never diverted from that. They do.
Like, I missed Hidden Side. I thought that was cool. It's too late for that. I'm not buying it all. Retired. I don't want to go down that path.
But I mean, it was kind of the same thing. Everyone liked the sets, but the app was nothing.
The boxes were trash. I mean, I didn't even need anybody to tell me that. I was just looking at them like, that's...
See, that's interesting to hear from you, because that's what everyone was saying when it was coming out too. And I'm guessing you weren't really in the community at that point.
No, I went to look because I wanted the bus or something, and I put it into eBay or whatever, and and I was like, wait, what is this? And like, you had to really look, to see what it was. And then you see, there was somebody selling 3 or 4 sets, as a bundle or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, add this to why it maybe didn't work. But
yeah, interesting. It's just interesting to hear
you guys
that
are at a really high level. And the other thing I'll say is in these situations, there's a lot of folks that are really, really, really smart in these roles. So for somebody to just like armchair it is probably not cool, but just know, like, these aren't dummies. These are, usually from a great school, big teams. Claire knows what I'm saying. Like these aren't hacks. I think a lot of times we're like, that's just dumb. That's a terrible. It's like, nah, you have no idea how much work goes into designing one. I just shit on their box. Only because it was unclear. I thought the art was cool. Mm-hmm. But
I mean, a lot of people said it. So
Claire's been in these situations. Different revs of creative, Claire, on something, or for you, and I'm just being vague here, like blueprints or what, there's so much that goes into one of your projects, and like to have it come out and just someone just shits on it, it's like, eh. But sometimes it
doesn't bother me, to be totally honest.
Just to have somebody it is great to bring a different eye in though on this kind of stuff, even from the complete outside, because they may see something obvious that you're not seeing because you're too close to it. And I think
I agree.
Is what Lego needs a little bit more of.
Oh, of course. There's always like a benefit of having like a third party. It's like great that they've hired like people that didn't go through like the traditional education path to get to those design positions. Yeah. But what I don't really understand, because my experience is like with really large scale things, and so from a product design perspective, I feel like the emotional attachment is like a little bit different. I'm sure there's like almost just as many parties involved, and so when like the design trickles itself down to production, it's already been like ripped apart by so many different entities. But like honestly, over the last 15 years of working, my projects that are constructed, look nothing like the original design, and they're ripped apart to such a degree that it's almost like, I don't know another word other than dehumanizing, because for like my human attachment to it, my humanity is eliminated from it. It is a value engineered economic product at the end that is purely that. And so I think
that's you said everything. I said two couple of words. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. And sounds it's like ideas. Which is this really, it's a really cool thing in itself. You have to like appreciate it for like something else entirely, because that is like how we function as a society in all different kinds of industries. And it's awesome. It's this like big team effort that makes things possible. And honestly, like nobody's ego should be that precious that it like, that like
I think I heard you talking about like when someone kind of S's on somebody's work, they shouldn't get all like bent out of shape. Was that you on the show?
Yeah, that's me. That's also like maybe my defense mechanism that I've like over the years like had to have, because like right now like I'm transitioning like from really large scale projects to super small and like doing residential stuff, and like maybe my attitude will change because the supply chain, or whatever you want to call like that industrial chain of that product is much shorter, and there's less influence and impact from it. So maybe my emotional, input is going to be greater. So I don't know. My point is like, I think it's like kind of a defense mechanism as well to like not feel like an ego boost if someone poo-poos on your stuff. Also, like, it's a good thing if people are talking about your stuff. It's kind of like to a certain degree, you know what I mean? You want people to talk about whatever it is you're producing. So
no, I agree. And it is important when you can get into, I guess that's what's been good about some of my roles as I've advanced. I do have more of a voice and an input on stuff, but to Claire's point, like there's still another couple of people in your purview, like whether you go from, I don't know, account manager to director to a VP to a C-suite. Even in the C-suite, you're still going to have to, even if this is in your complete lane, some of those outside forces, finance comes up, Lego comes up a lot. I designed this amazing display for retail, right? Everybody was bought in on the creative side. The partners loved it, yada, yada, yada. Finance had already approved it. And then you go to it, but some other incident happened in another side of the business, and finance is like, yeah, I know we approved that, but you got to take it down 25%, which means your materials aren't going to be as good. Oh, and you got to lose this plastic piece here because, that's driving a $2 cost per unit. And that's how it comes out. And people, when they saw the display before, were like, man, that display you had looked awesome. This is okay. And so like,
as a Disney Parks fan, do you watch like D23 where they have like the initial renderings, and people are always so disappointed when it's actually going to be that? And like honestly, like
Claire, I watch everything.
Okay, well, the thing is like those to me those renderings like look pretty accurate to like what it ends up being. There's just not sparkles like coming out of the like people. I'm like, that's like just an ambient effect that's been applied. And I also like understanding construction and like the timeline and stuff. Of course, they're going to change. But like, if I really think
that's more concept though, right? Like,
which is like fine.
But people FPO, would people even know what FPO? They probably wouldn't. Okay,
no, they're not going to know. But you know how like they did this whole thing for like Tiana's, like the Blue by or whatever. They're like retheming Splash Mountain, and they had this like boat that was like sitting up on the top that looked like it had one point of connection that was like never going to like be sound in Disneyland, where it had to like be like be structurally
on a track, right?
Yeah, and whatever. My point is like that was never going to exist, and people are like so obsessed that it's like gone. But also like they have to make it affordable. Anyway, it doesn't matter. When it comes down to Lego sets, I've always thought about like who has the most freedom, who has like the least amount of like hearsay or whatever it is. And I always thought that like the graphic designers who get to do the sticker sheets are probably the ones who like don't get poo-pooed on as much, because like I think they end up having like the most freedom. I would imagine so. Like they probably get a review
you're right.
from, like Disney or something. But in terms of like cost impact, if there's only one single sticker sheet and they keep within like whatever it like to kiss cut a sticker sheet for like 20 stickers versus like
Claire knows you're in the sticker game now.
Well, like it doesn't cost that much more on the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? And I was just like thinking, I was like, they probably like get to sit in their like little silo, not totally independent from anybody else, but more so than anyone else on the product team. I would imagine so. I could be wrong, but like I kind of like, I'm like, oh, if I worked for Lego, it'd be just like fun to do the stickers. But I don't think you just get to do stickers. I think you do like all the graphics, like the box art and like the mini. From
what I heard, they do the stickers and the box art on the graphic design team.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think the sticker folks like. Okay,
I know you hate stickers, Sean. I know you.
I hate stickers. I know,
stickers. But I was I went looking at this like old sheet.
No.
And I was like,
that's why I couldn't form a thought. I'm like, Claire's sticking up for stickers again. No, I respect the game. No, I was telling one of you. I think it was Shy. Like I was like trying to figure out like what is going on. Why can't you just print on these pieces? And they said due to the licensing, it has more to do with the licensing than them not wanting to. Maybe Shy, you made a video said, would you pay 10% more or something if the sets had no stickers? And I went down the rabbit hole in a couple different ways, and it sort of netted out. And I tend to believe it that the licensing is a lot different to do a sticker versus a printed piece for whatever reason. Because if you think about it, a $500 set, I don't care. You can, until you're blue in the face, argue with me, Claire. That Harry Potter set should not have any stickers in it for $500. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean that's just bonkers.
I think it's insane. No.
But like I guess per piece that they print with those trademarks or whatever that IP on it. Because if you think about it, nothing about these pieces has anything to do with the IP. Some do, like
the sorting cap mold or something like that.
Yeah, the cockpit on like a TIE fighter, like that's pretty distinct, right? But like the rest of it, those pieces technically you could, from pick a brick and build the thing you wanted to. So I think when you have those very specific elements, there's more of a surcharge from the partner on that for the licensing. And I will say, we bonded over this too, Claire, when you came on. I think the one group who gets to have the most fun and just says YOLO all the time still is Monkey Kid. They get to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
gotta be the best team. Do you imagine if Star Wars team got to have that much leeway?
Well, I think
shout out to the Speed Champions team.
Yeah, I think
they work on Monkey Kid.
I was going to say, I feel like the only thing with Monkey Kid is that it is based on like a story that's like incredibly ingrained in like Chinese culture. So I would assume that they just have to make sure to like not be offensive, because that is like the target demographic. But that's probably it. They're probably the only one. That's probably the only like parameter that they have to like satisfy, because it seems like they have an endless budget. It seems like they have they can do whatever they want, and
anyone who will listen. It's the best. It's still the best. They say all of it's expensive. I'm tired of talking about how expensive it is, but pushed me to it. I don't want to say famously, we're nobody, but we famously on the show I'm not going to be the guy who's like, this stuff's expensive. I know it's expensive, but like just lately it's been hard not to be that guy with some of this stuff.
I have never been that person who's like, it's too expensive. I have never been that. And that probably
would you be willing to become one though with this latest way, or would you more say you're more disciplined? Oh, sorry.
No, I was about to say exactly that. Like I really was dumbfounded with the Black Panther bust, the Harry Potter train, and the Hulk buster. Those and like even the Avatar sets, the Avatar sets kind of like transitioned to like they're like in the Monkey Kid price point now, which is like always been like quite high. In my head, I was like, okay, Avatar, whatever. Maybe I have like a blind eye for it, but Black Panther, Hulkbuster, and I blindly like buy Marvel and Harry Potter. So that was like really shocking to me to like see that. And you know, I don't know what your path is if you're going to end up getting those at some point, because I know that's a big pill with those three, for anybody really. But for me, I think I told Shai recently, I'm like, here's the thing about FOMO. Once you miss that first one, man, it gets a lot easier to miss that second one and the third one. And it sends you down a path. And like, but
stop buying it.
But is that the same, Claire? Because it's so outrageous and so bad. Would I have that same energy if it was $300 Star Wars set? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so outlandish that it's like.
It's also so subjective because like right now my financial situation is like different than it ever has been, and I'm spending in a way like I just bought a house and I have to like furnish it and like all this stuff. So like,
congrats! I heard about that.
Thank you. So like my financial situation is like, you know, redirected another way, and I'm starting a business and I'm consulting, but my consulting isn't like my old salary, right? So like my concept of money is very different than what it used to be. Like when I was by myself making an egregious salary, especially during the pandemic, where my spending habits went from like shopping to like stuff to going out, drinking, going out to dinners in San Francisco where you could casually spend $200 just on yourself, and like traveling, like not all of that. That's like thousands of dollars a month. That was just like going into savings, and I was like putting into the stock market, and then holy crap, I still had money. This is like, I'm not trying to be like, woe is me here.
Yeah.
Like I was in a great situation. So I started buying all the retired sets that I wanted to. I was spending so much money, and I mean, like, I'm happy I got them because it was like so much cheaper than it is now.
Right.
But like I was spending so much more than this stupid Hulkbuster, or so much more than this the train or whatever it was. Like I was, you know, like I was.
But would you
buying
say for better sets though?
I don't think what's it called? You know, I think, how much did I spend? I probably spent like $500, $600 on the Ghostbusters headquarters. No way in hell is that worth it. No way. That is like,
that was one of the ones I was going to call out. I saw you get that one and I was jelly but you were, if I recall correctly, I watch all this stuff. I'm telling you, you got it overseas and you got a killer. You got 200 or so off of what they were asking for USD.
I did, but it was still so much more than it's worth. You know what I mean? It's like, but you justify it. You know, you're like, it's retired.
You know you can get out of it though. But you're smart. A lot of people are smart, and you know you can get out of it. Even used, Claire, you know you're going to be able to get 5 for that. Probably. I hope that entered.
No, absolutely.
That's how I do everything I do. I'm like, can I get out of this if I need to? Like,
yes, absolutely.
My stakes are a little bit different with the kids and but like,
at the time, like literally this was like my like free money. Like there was nothing like being completely single and having like a big salary and like your home is paid off and you like have, which is like a great thing. And so like that was the situation that I was in during the beginning of COVID, and I went into it in like a very comfortable way in terms of like buying retired sets. My point is, like, not to like overshare, but that's not my financial situation anymore, you know? And so like when I see, and that's not I'm not complaining about it. It's like a good thing. That means I have more in my life to like spend money on and spend on. But like, so seeing like a $600 set and a $300 set or whatever it is, I don't know why. It's just like the value isn't there. And maybe my value in Lego is going away.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I was trying to figure out too. I get exactly what you're saying. It's like a season, you know, like I'm going through a season. I'm in a weird place right now. I'm having a rough patch.
fall stages.
Yeah, it's fall stages. And it's funny because I too announced like I'm done doing retired stuff because they either come back out with it, you overpay, you know what I mean? Like there's all these scenarios. It's not as if
or I have it in the garage, just waiting for you to look at it.
What is it?
The Rancor set.
Yeah, I need the Rancor, and
well, have it
because you know what it took for me, Claire, is I bought the Sanctum. I think like literally 30 days before it was leaked that the new one was coming, and I'm like, never
like
again.
The old Sanctum.
Yeah, I'm like, never again.
Well, no, okay,
so
that is a completely different set.
No,
I
did
the stupidest thing with the Batmobile. Like that is like there's like you could count on like two hands how many.
The '89 Batmobile.
No, Tumbler.
The Tumbler, which is an exact replica. That was the day before the leak was announced.
Oh, you got the OG before this new one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so granted,
similar.
Thankfully, they did different figures, and thankfully, those original figures retained their value. And so, and I did enjoy the build, but basically, all I did was I just bought the new figures on Bricklink. I was like, whatever. And in my head, I was not even going to buy it. And I was like, you know what? I have to part of me was it was a pride thing that I needed to get those figures. Anyway,
that's funny. Exciting. Well, no, similar thing happened. So I was so close to getting Jabba's Palace 1,000 times, and then they announced Boba Fett's, and I'm like, okay, see, I'm not getting burned this time. But then it came out and it was terrible.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, objectively, again, I don't want to be, but it wasn't as strong as a.
You weren't a fan of it.
I wasn't a fan of. I want to make sure.
It's fine.
But anyway, because of the roof controversy with it being a mosque and whatever, I might have that wrong. But anyway, it made the old one go up even more because the new one just wasn't it. So it worked in reverse for me that time. I was like, okay, now I'm more determined than ever to get this. They're probably not going to make it like that again, and I ended up paying another. 100.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's when they redo a set and it's so different, the original set usually goes up in value.
So different, i.e., cutting costs, i.e., changes to the license, certain characters. But the X-wings, the new X-wings aren't as strong as the new X-wing that's $40 or $50. Objectively, not as strong as the ones that were 90, but then everybody's complaining they were too much, and so you get so. But just as a rule, I'm trying to stay away from it. But Shy with all his content on on the Falcons and everything, and then me rewatching Game of Thrones and just finishing, I'm like, I do need to get this medieval stuff going. It's like for Christmas, I am going to break the rule. I do want that Joust set. I need it. I'm going to get that.
How much is that? $400 right now
for some people. Yeah. For some people, without the keen eye. But
on average, it's a
$400 set, and I hope to get it in the low three. It happens. I can get it in the low threes. But then you know what happens, Clay? You start going, all right, well, what else is out there that I'm going to need to get before it retires? And it's like I, for whatever reason, don't have the blacksmith yet. I did not buy the 3-in-1 castle. It just hasn't been my thing. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing. I jump themes and then I go ham on them. So I'm like,
that's fun though. You have to embrace that because that's a really fun thing. It's when it's kind of like getting into a new hobby and getting really excited at the same time. I'm not necessarily jealous of that, but I empathize, and there's a little bit of envy in terms of when you get into something new and you kind of discover it. Mm-hmm. And so for us, more recently was Castle. Sans got really into it. I've always loved it. We've always had, both of us have a very extensive Lord of the Rings collection and the Hobbit collection, so we can really pull from that. And I have some old castle sets, and so does he. And so we've just been adding to it. And so our last couple conventions, those are the sets that we get, when we get buy the retired sets. And that's been so much fun.
The hunt, yeah.
Yeah, and it's and that's the fun part. Influencer. But also changing themes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but changing themes is almost rediscovering Lego in a way, because a lot of themes are incredibly extensive.
Seasons, right?
Yeah,
it's seasons.
Yeah, it's fun
though. It's like Star Wars. I'm not feeling it at the moment, so all right, let's go over here. You know what I mean? And so
can we talk about Shy and how he's I'm not spending money on Lego, but then buys 40
horse
pops in in a haul.
It's horse S that he's not doing.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah, I know.
But I like the one video where where you're showing off 10,000 of the black red Falcons or whatever, and you're 1,000%. Every single one of these are from my friend. Now they might have been, but he's everything you see here on this table is from my friends. And I'm like,
yeah, but he paid us back for it.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, either half of them are or aren't. And did they just do it on the rip like that, or did he have to toss you the 15? Like, how did that work? But like, I just know like spousal negotiations. So I was like, were those free? Shout out to my friends, or is it because they didn't scalp you on them? Like, what did you mean by that? Or
we touched everything. Everything was our DNA is on each. Our stench is on all of them.
Yes.
And so he does that, and then I find out it's too late, and then I immediately go on, and I'm like, see, I don't need the 10,000 like Shy, but I would like a copy of each type, now, because I'm a weirdo and I know way too much about Castle than I didn't know previous. But
that's
anyway,
what we talked about as well. Getting one of each type. It's a lot of fun. A lot.
And Shy's like, well, I've got factions within the Forest, and then I've got the Dragon Knights. But do you have this variant? I'm like, I don't.
Have you met Sam?
No, well, but you guys got to remember, I'm like, whatever it is, 3 years into this, that, you know what I mean? I don't have the history. I've always appreciated from afar. I think what pushed it over the edge, Claire, though, was finally the castle itself. Like, and that's probably another Chris. Yeah, what we need to do in Chicago, and some people did it. This is what this is building towards.
Oh,
Claire.
no.
we need to do a group trip to medieval times.
Oh my god,
it's so awesome.
I haven't been since I was like 11.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna. Here we go. Quick advertisement for medieval times. It is so awesome to go, have a few beverages. We all get seated together in one, or whatever. We could separate. It could be whatever. But you're supporting this one night as a fight to the death to win the hand of the princess. And it's so like, I used to be big into wrestling, Claire, which, like, shout out to wrestling back in the day. It is like pro wrestling, but with, knights, and like there's only one winner. There's like six different knights, and then they all like die off, and then there's one champion, and they randomize who wins every night. So you really don't know if your side's going to win, and it's just like the greatest time. Also, no utensils, and I believe it's unlimited like Coors Light. So I mean, that's very
great. It's Coors. Okay. Nice.
Right. No, but I think that would be a nice, fun thing for everybody to do. And Shy, I was looking at, you've got me looking at K-Town Bricks, you influencer, you. And no, because there's 6 nights, right, at medieval times. I'm like, oh, this could pass for the red and yellow knight. And you probably even know the model I'm talking about. And then there's a black and white knight. And I'm like, we could bring those. And
that's a dangerous side about customizing, is when you're trying to like build a nostalgia to something and that Lego doesn't provide. So then you're willing to spend what would be only a third of what you would buy for a Lego, but like times 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like $25 versus like.
You invited us out to the Brick Mania thing in Chicago.
Did you have a heart attack?
I think everybody was there. Claire, you were there, right? Everybody was there.
I loved it.
The pizza party, and like I'm just looking around. I've already like dropped whatever I dropped. And Shy's like, yeah, no, this is all great. Look at this. I'm looking at it. This minifig was like 32, still doing a box, like I'm like, wait, is this like retired? No, this is current stock. I'm like, oh, okay. You're like, check this out. And I look, this little jet about like that, 220 or something. I'm like, what's going on in here? And you're like, this is crazy. You point at the one that was, I don't know, what's the equivalent of the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, like $8,000 or something. I'm like, whoa, this is a crazy place.
Yeah. I mean, which goes back to what you guys were saying earlier. It's just like, it's the pricing and value is subjective. So
yeah, no. And you've done a nice job, and I'm being whatever, I appreciate once again, but that's what you do, right? You educate. I watched your video on it. You're like, it is expensive, but here's why. They're using genuine Lego pieces. They have some sort of alliance with them, and it's expensive to source it. And then they have to package. It's like, I get the why, but I was just like, I didn't know it was quite like that until I went there and started just perusing when I saw a basic tank that people in the Lego space was like, 20 for that. That's outrageous. It was like, 120 or something.
Even the small stuff is garbage over there.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So, like, and that was the point of the reel that I posted about if you had $1,000, which one of these would you spend it on? Which was like Black Falcons, which was only 100 of them, versus the AT-AT versus a jet, all the same price.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to see what people would actually buy. And I don't know if it's
they really $10 a piece though when you get it at the Falcons, like
$10 a piece. No, like if you buy through Bricks and Pieces, they're fully equipped $4.
Okay.
Fully equipped. That's with helmet, shield, sword.
Yeah. Not everything is always in stock. I just want like 30 of them. I don't even know why I want 30. I just need to, I can't be completely skunked by you. I can't
No. A lot of people are catching up. But like the Falcons themselves, like I got the Falcons when they were like, the torsos were like 45 cents. Now they're $1. So like they've upped the prices in the Falcons. So what did cost me $4 a fig to fully equip, it's not that anymore. It's definitely like $6. But bringing it back around, I'm happy that all of you are now a part of it, like as like a staple time of something to like look forward to throughout the week. And I think we need a lot more of those, because that's kind of keeps us all kind of grounded with like each other. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing that I appreciate with like your show and amongst others as well. So
same. And again, I want to throw the compliments back. I mean, you guys are at like, what is it, 100 or something, and we're, I think like halfway what it was, but we've done half or whatever or around that, which you guys have done. And like, yeah, it's nice to have something reliable. Like once that pops up, it's usually, I feel like during the work day, and if I'm not watching it, I'm definitely listening to it, every episode. You need those sort of reliable things to get you through. It's funny, my wife is always like, when I'm doing housework or something, she's like, complains that I have AirPods in or something, and I said, honey, I said if I'm not listening to this, like, it makes washing the dishes or whatever that current task is go by so much faster.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That's, again, like I talked about, one thing that I thought it was a compliment about doing this sort of thing. That's the other big one, is someone's like, hey, you get me through part of my shift or something. I'm like, that's awesome, because I know what that feels like to have somebody do that for me too. And you know what I mean? Like, that's not to get all gushy and mushy, but that's kind of like, that makes it worth it. Someone who's like, cool, they got through a boring part of their day, somehow being entertained by a bunch of goofballs saying things about toys.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's getting yelled at for having the AirPods on all the time.
No, I get treated all the time.
For sure.
So you know what I did? I turned off the noise canceling and went down to 1. Because she does need to call me.
Well, I was going to say, so I get mad at Sans for this, because it's actually like kind of scary that like, if you, like, I fell and like hurt myself, like, and we live in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I was like screaming and yelling for him, and he could not hear me. And like, one of the main points of having a partner is to prevent this.
Survive.
It's like just for survival. Yeah. I mean, like, that is quite literally one of our human instincts. And it's like, you're literally putting a blocker to your environment. And so like, this is just to be fair to your wives that get upset with you.
This is the right way. Yeah. No, she wasn't wrong.
It's
and we have kids too. Like, she's right.
To me, it's scary, because it's like,
we have kids, and no, I mean, like, look, again, different stakes, right? Bad enough you fell, but God forbid something happened to the kid. So like, it's fine. You adapt, you reason, right? You negotiate. It's part of the partnership. I'm like, you're right. We'll turn off noise canceling, and we'll have just one in, so that I'm part of this world. But man, I need to hear Shy tell me more about this castle theme that I don't want to become addicted to. Like, that's going to get me through that dishwash sesh.
Yeah, I think that's like a decent time to put on like those headphones or something like that.
I usually wait till everybody's asleep, but or
you do it while you cut your grass. I mean, that's a perfect time of using noise cancellation.
Yeah, because you're not hearing anything over that, right?
You're not.
I don't know, flying so you can cut out the ambient noise. That's probably the best.
These things are scary though. Like, if I'm here with
Apple ones,
if I'm here with just the kids, like, there's no noise canceling going on whatsoever. And I've got monitors for both of them. Even with my wife home, I have them. But yeah, like these, Claire, if you don't have them yet, holy cow. Anyway, these are great. You're going to be doing a lot of bi-coastal stuff. So I highly recommend, if you don't want to hear anything anybody says ever, these are crazy. They're scary.
That sounds awesome.
It's like anyway, just you and your heartbeat, really. I mean,
that sounds perfect for a flight.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I have to get on one soon. So I think it's a good time to like kill it. So with that being said, does anyone else have anything else to bring to the table before we wrap it up? No?
I instinctually went over to play
you're going to play the music? We don't have that. We just play it in post. So.
Can you hear it?
Wow.
Yeah. This is
that's pretty wild. I have my board. I was just wondering if it worked. It was instinctual. I heard the wrap up thing. I'm like, that means I reach over here and do that.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're killing it. Roll that music. Peace.
Bye.
Are you going to copyright claim us now on that one?
Do you want me to? I don't care.
Wow.
This funny thing about this song is,
if you have to go while I'm on the phone, have a safe trip.
Later, Claire.
Oh shit! She can't see me.